Hello, welcome to day 4 of Inktober Tangles challenge. I'm Anica, a CZT from Croatia, certified Zentangle teacher. So what we are doing here is using the Zentangle method, Zentangle patterns or tangles. And today's tangle is Toodles by Zentangle, one of my favorite tangles. Yay! So it's something that I would choose. And I will start with Jelly Roll 10, which I don't think I ever did with this tangle, but let's see. I'm starting with this central kind of elongated seed shape or something like that. A lazy S shape. I think it's lovely. Very organic, very free-flowing. Yours might be straight or straighter, whatever it is. Have fun, make it yours. And then I will add these kind of fescue shapes that grow from the bottom. Typically you would start maybe a little bit, not totally at the bottom, but I'm kind of restating that shape and then taking off and drawing this fescue shape. And then I'm drawing behind, and on the opposite side I will do it in a different way, just to show you that it doesn't have to look a certain way, and your stroke will be different, and any stroke is good enough. I like these curvy ones. You might prefer ones that are straighter, and it's all fine. I think I will squeeze in a few orbs here just because this space looks really perfect to host a few orbs, and maybe just one on the opposite side. And it doesn't have to be a whole orb, it can be just 2C strokes. And I will do this little flap fold here. Oh, I'm sorry for this sound. I was like completely sure that my sounds were off. I will deal with it now before we continue. So that was my first Toodles, and I did it with white, but I'm thinking about maybe outlining that white now. Let's see where it takes me. And you can always, because I'm experimenting as I'm working on this, you can always take a look at what I'm doing and see if you actually like it, and then decide, I'm not so sure about this. That's totally fine. So in a way, to distinguish between the orbs that I added to the sides and the background color, which turns out to be blue. I didn't intend, or I didn't plan for the background to be blue, but it seems that it took over. I'm just adding a touch of this blue to this bottom part, which kind of is consistent with what's going on here on the right side of this same ribbon. And now I will use, and this is actually what Zentangle method is about, repeating the patterns. So now I will actually repeat this pattern here on the bottom side. And of course I could do it, grow them from here towards the top. That's one. And maybe I'm thinking now it might be a nice thing to do it exactly starting from this point in the corner. Well, let's do it like this. I was first intending to do it the opposite way, starting from here towards the top. Maybe that's also an option. Let's see. I will start my first one. And then I will finish this one and then start the next one. maybe that's a better idea. So I will do this one narrower just because of the space that I'm dealing with. And I want to fit too, and I will also change its shape a little bit to make it kind of elongated. And then another one, I'm starting it from the top. I'm not sure even where I'm landing. Where, there it is, I landed somewhere. And then growing my fescues. And finally completing the shape. It's like conjoint twin tangles. I don't know why I thought that. My brain sometimes work in strange ways. I'm sorry about that. But they make a nice corner. I think they really make a nice corner here. And now that I have this shape, I can also think about how I will kind of finish this tile. And I think a nice border at the bottom might help with kind of ground things. So let me draw a border, and you can see that I'm adding an aura line, which you can do or you can skip, whatever. And I think I will kind of add the continuation of the border on the left side, just to have some kind of a balance between the left and right side. And of course, there is no symmetry. This Toodles here does its own thing outside of where the border was, and this Melvina Tangle does its thing on the top here, but still there is some consistency here on the bottom. I'm thinking about even leaving this part empty as it is, and maybe just add a little bit of blue to it. So let's go with that. Let's go with that first, and then I will shade and highlight my Toodles. So as I'm moving away, I'm kind of letting this blue fade. It's also serving as a shade below my letter I. And then as I move away towards Toodles or whatever there is below, it's getting lighter and lighter. I want to fill this space with blue too. Again, having some kind of a colored background. And maybe a little bit here. I'm trying to be mindful about how I'm applying it, so that I don't go over my tangles. But if it happens, I'll deal with it. Okay, I'm going to do the same right here. And you know, I have this darkness here, which is my shade under festoon, which I can even darken with a little bit more color. Then I'm thinking about maybe adding a little bit of white. It's almost like reflected light on the bottom of it. And if I add white, then maybe on the other side of that white I can add blue again, but I want this to dry first. And for Toodles, the way I like to shade it is to apply shading, graphite, whatever. Because I have these folds, I want to do it in the fold, below the fold as well, and along this central part. And I want this nice smiley shaped shade here, but here I also have the side of it disappearing below the ribbon, and these little 3 orbs that I have, I want to shade them with this typical smiley shaped shade, and I want to blend this, but I need to find my blending stump first. Okay, I got my blending stump, and now I can blend these shades. As always, trying to blend away from where the shade is the darkest, which is right next to the black line, or in this case almost at the black line, mimicking the black line. Rotate your tile. That's the great thing about it, that you can rotate it. And blending these smiley shapes. I'm thinking maybe just a little bit of texture here in this fold. And then I think I can add the blue to this part below my white line, again trying not to go over the white line. And this is a wonderful water brush by Kuretake, and right now it's quite dry, and I'm always a little bit hesitant to squeeze the barrel because I don't want too much water. And this one controls the flow of water quite well, and I'm very happy about this. But again, trying to balance between having a brush that's too dry and having a brush that might release a little bit too much water. It will never drip water on your paper. It's very reliable in that way, unlike some others. Anyway, yeah, the blue is there. I'm done with the blue, I think. You never know, I might go back to it, but kind of like the way that this looks. And of course, I need to add some more shades on my Toodles on the bottom, and I will do the same. Adding some shade along the fescue lines, adding some shade along the central lines, and also this one appears to go over the other one, so I want to kind of help with that 3D effect of one Toodles being placed on top of the other. Because this one lays flat like this, I want to add this smiley shaped shading too. Going back to where I placed the graphite and blending it. Rotating my tile, doing the same on the opposite side. Holding my graphite, my blending stump at a low angle, and the tip of it pointing towards the black line where the shade is the darkest. And of course, to make things even hopefully more 3D, a little bit of white on the places which are not shaded, which is towards the top. And also, oh, I think I forgot to blend this little smiley shaped shade here. And I believe I want to add a little bit more white, but I'm thinking about these cute dots instead of just adding white all over the central part. So again, being playful, not concerned about the outcome, is the name of the game. I will use my white jelly roll to add some bright white to the ribbon on top. And this ribbon eventually goes below some of my tangles, so that's where I'm not using, because I might shade that a little bit later. And not to forget about my top Toodles. So we have this fescue shape. Right below the fescue shape is where the shade is the darkest. Right above the fescue shapes is where the highlight is the lightest. So this is what creates that contrast. And of course, with your blending stump, you can blend. You don't have to blend too much, just as much as you think you need. And when people ask me, why is my white not as white as yours? It's often, so if yours doesn't come as white as mine, it's probably because you are not pushing with your white pencil strong enough into your paper. I have a heavy hand. For me, it's natural to do that, but for somebody else who has a light grip on their supplies, which is good for their supplies, you might need to be mindful about pushing a little bit harder on your pencil to get it to be more white. Well, is this done? Oops, I didn't want to take this Micron 10. I want to just straighten this line. And what I want to also do is add a little shade right where my aura line disappears below my tangles or other shapes, and blend that little shade not too far towards the white jelly roll. And there it is. I think it's done. It's a strange combination of tangles that I would have never chosen, myself, which is what makes this challenge so interesting. I'm creating little pieces of art, if I might say so, that I would have never created if there wasn't this list of prompts created by Stephanie Jennifer. A little bit more touches with my jelly roll white, just because. And you can always come back to it, and you can always add more. But I think mine is maybe it's done now. And I want to add my chop, which is the last, or almost the last part of the Zentangle method. And I want to express my gratitude and appreciation for the list of prompts, for these lovely supplies, for you who are here to support what I do. I do appreciate you. And let's continue. We have at least 7 more tiles to go and 27 tangles to go. Sounds scary, but maybe one day at a time, one stroke at a time, we can do it. Thank you for being here, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.